Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Presented by Junk Be Gone, Phoenix Conversions.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Sports Source. Happy to have you join us today as we dissect Tennessee's 34-3 beatdown loss at Florida yesterday. We will be straightforward and honest with you. I think even Sterling today will probably be a little muted, maybe. It's early yet. Maybe by the end of the show, spirits will be lifted. But we do have a lot to cover. It's amazing that Tennessee 1-3 for the first time since 2008, Philip Fulmer's last season. It's been a while. It seems like every year, and Josh talked about this on one of our earlier shows, there's always some new rock bottom. There's some new, this hasn't happened since then, and this hasn't happened since then, and now you're having another one. 1-3 for the first time since 2008. How can they recover? Can they recover? All that and more coming up. Let's dive right in. First segment of our show brought to you by new sponsor today. Although I've had them, they've worked with me before on our football shows over on another station, Phoenix Conversions. Welcome them in. Thanks for them to joining us. It's a name that you know and a name that's trusted across East Tennessee. Tops in truck and van accessories since 1987, and they offer commercial equipment to upgrade your entire fleet of vehicles. You name it, they've got it. Phoenix Conversions, you'll be hearing about them and seeing them here on the Sports Source for a good time to come, and we appreciate them joining on board. All right, I want to welcome in the panelists for today. We have, the first wave of panelists. We have Bob Hodge. We have Josh Ward down there, Will Overstreet, down there, Jimmy Himes. Guys, thanks for being here today. Tennessee completely outclassed in Gainesville yesterday. Let's go ahead and put up a graphic here. It was the 14th Gators victory over Tennessee in the last 15 years. And you can see all of them right there. You can see the point spread over on the far right next to the coach's name. And for most of these years, it's ironic, the Jones years, you actually had the one win and the closest losses. But for most of these years, it's just been beatdown after beatdown after beatdown. My question is a simple one. When you look at yesterday or when you look at Georgia State and BYU, et cetera, is this team that bereft of talent? Should they be playing better than what we saw yesterday, or do you just look at it and say, no, they don't have talent? Now, I've given my answer on this show before. I'm not buying that. Didn't buy it last year when people were saying, no, Charlotte has equal talent. No, they don't. I don't think they're preparing this team. Am I wrong? Do you think this team should be playing better, or are you thinking they are playing at max capacity right now?
I'll vote for they should be playing better. I think that if you look at their individual talent, you've got guys that can play. I think if you look at your unit talent, that's where it just doesn't seem like the pieces all fit. And I heard somebody today call in Jimmy's show earlier, and he's talking about get off the offensive lines back. Well, to an extent you can a little bit. They played better yesterday, but they still gave up 4 sacks, and you still just ran for, I think, 88 yards, something like that.
3.3 yards per carry, I believe.
I don't think you can deny that there's some good individual players on the offensive line. I don't think you can deny that playing together as a group, they're not very good.
I think you're right. They're not very good. The thing that's also interesting, and I can't remember the exact number, but ESPN did something before the year about all the 4 and 5 stars on rosters, and they came up with the deal that Tennessee had the 14th best talent in the country based on star ratings of players. I'm not going that far. No. But Tennessee does have too many good players to be getting beat like this. They had too many good players to lose to Missouri 50-17, to get beat by Vanderbilt by 25 last year, and that's carried over this year. They're not playing it near their level of talent, in my opinion. Now, they don't have great talent,
right,
but they are still not playing. And part of that is you had late hit penalties. You had delay a game coming out of a quarter change. Why are you doing that? You still have players that can't get lined up.
You had a veteran in Juwan Jennings ran into a punt returner just that it called for him.
And he dropped a touchdown pass that turned into an interception. They keep shooting themselves in the foot.
They are that, but I will go that they do have a talent gap in the front, in the most important areas, and the 2 areas that count the longest to fix. The offensive line, even though you got some better guys now, it takes 2 or 3 years for freshmen to come in and actually compete at a high level. And it's your defensive line right now, you just don't have the guys that can do what you need to do in the SEC to be competitive. And, you know, they did a better job yesterday against Florida. I thought they'd get run through like Swiss cheese. They didn't. They were able to stop some of the run. But you looked on the pass rush, and it was non-existent. You could line up with 4 guys, and you weren't going to get within 4 feet of that quarterback. So, you know, I think there are some areas to go. Now, them not being able to line up correctly, that's coaching. And I saw that still happen yesterday. Thankfully, Daniel Batuli was out on the field moving guys around, but it almost cost him because he was having to hit guys and then halfway through the snap be rushing back to where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's tapping him to tell him where to go, but he can't get back in time.
He can't get back to where he's supposed to be. So those kinds of things, that's coaching. That's development. That's, hey, where am I supposed to be on this play? That's not talent. That's where do you know to go? I mean, that is definitely coaching.
Josh?
Yeah, Tennessee absolutely has the talent to play better than it has last season, this season. And when you think about 5 straight losses to FBS opponents, needing a touchdown at the end to keep it to a 1-score loss to Georgia State, Tennessee has far more talent than being in that kind of position, or losing by 31 to Florida, losing by 25 to Vanderbilt. We can keep going through this list.
I'm about to show.
Yeah, and it's getting worse, not better in some ways with Tennessee, and that is not a talent issue. That is a development issue.
I wonder, I beat the same drum. I've been beating it since he started at Alabama last year. He wavers back and forth, Jeremy Pruitt does, between being overly critical of his players and saying a lot of, I need new guys in here. I still don't think that motivates the guys who are already there. If you're constantly telling them, go out there and win, you're not going to, but go out there and win. I need new guys, but go out there, fight all you can. I once had a tape of Kevin O'Neal. I'm going to go off topic just for 1 second, but it's on topic. Kevin O'Neal, former UT basketball coach. It's halftime. Tennessee's playing a basketball game over there. It's halftime. He brings the guys in and berates them for 99% of the halftime. Just goes through individually. I think I've shown this tape to some of you guys. 1, 2, 3, he's just ripping them. It's unbelievable. We couldn't play it on TV. At the end of it, he gets everybody in a circle. Defense on 3, 1, 2, 3. Are you kidding me? It's like, wait a second, do you really think that's going to motivate? Yeah, defense is now they're going to be motivated again after you've just questioned their lineage. I mean, it's pretty. I just wonder if he's lost some of the guys in the locker room by constantly saying we need new guys, even though it's probably true that he needs new guys. All right, take a look at some numbers here. In terms of forward motion, Josh was hinting at this. Pruitt now 2-8 versus Power 5 teams. The average score in those games, 36-18 is the loss. That's on average. Tennessee 3-8 since everybody thought they turned the corner at Auburn. Their wins include Charlotte, Kentucky, and Chattanooga. Just need to schedule more southern cities.
Yes.
Not Miami. UT has allowed 34 or more points in 8 of Pruitt's 16 games. Yikes. UT has lost 7 games under Pruitt by 25 points or more. I'm not denying he inherited an absolute terrible mess. He did. But there are issues that are greater than the talent for some reason. There's maybe it's because you had to start all over with 2 new coordinators this year. I don't know, but there are issues there. All right, very quickly, we'll talk about the decision to flip-flop back in a moment. What were your thoughts on going to Brian Maurer yesterday?
Mistake.
You didn't like it.
I was fine with it. I mean, at that point in time, you also saw some Garantano's off on the sidelines, and he's arguing a little bit back and forth, getting a little chippy with the coach. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But his body language, once again, was not good. And at some point in time, you got to say, hey, listen, we'll put a shock into the system. You know, we can go 2-10 or 3-9 with anybody. We got to get you thinking somebody can take your spot at the very least.
I'll give him credit, though, at one point before Maurer went in, Marshall Hughes, so they got a shot of him fist bumping him before he went in. So it wasn't a pout job like we saw the Georgia Tech game a few years ago. Jimmy, would you have made that move?
Surprised. I didn't expect to see Maurer. Actually, to be perfectly frank with you, when they put Maurer in, I thought, okay, they know they're not going to win this game.
Yeah.
And look, I know Garantano's not playing well. I know he missed an open tight end. I know he didn't make some good plays. He still has at least shown flashes in the past, like at Auburn, for example, where he could help you. But when they put Maurer in, I thought, okay, Tennessee's not going to win this one.
Josh, did you like it or no?
I liked it in that I thought it was just a message to Jarrett Garantano. I didn't think it was a Brian Maurer is going to help us come back and win this game. I thought it was trying to send a message to him because he's probably going to be the starter against Georgia. I thought it was some kind of message to the starter.
Bob, why didn't you like it?
I didn't like it because I think you just destroyed Garantano basically for the rest of the season. You're going to go play Georgia next. Georgia's probably going to kind of do a Florida thing, if not worse, to you. So do you pull him again? And so now are you on that bicycle of we're not going anywhere, but we're pulling him, we're putting him in, we're pulling him, we're putting him in. I thought he gave you the best chance to win, despite the fact that he plays poorly. I think he still gives you the best chance to win. And as bad as he's played, if you look around the way that team played, he didn't have anything to do with the DBs not being able to cover anybody yesterday, or the defensive line not being able to get any kind of a pass rush. So I think too many people are putting too much on his feet, despite the fact he hasn't played as well.
Okay, very good. We will have a lot more on this discussion on if you're going to make that change, why do you then go back? Do you take a freshman and let him be the guy that's the shock to the system? What message have you now sent to Brian Maurer? That, oh, you went in there, you weren't that good. Pruitt, after the game, pointed out that, well, we had a touchdown on one side, but he almost threw the interception. Okay, now is Maurer going to feel confident if he goes back in the next time? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It was an interesting move. We'll talk a lot about it coming up. What's been the biggest shock so far of this season? I think he was mentioned in this segment, is my guess. And our VFLs are going to discuss UT's line play, offensive, defense, and then again, much more on the quarterback situation to come. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Hey, when you're away from home, catch us on Facebook Live, our YouTube channel, or on sportsource.tv.
Let's do it.
This is the Sports Source.